Okay, boom. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this evening. We have an amazing panel put together today to deal with some very serious information, as we look forward to getting from our brother Robert Muhammad, as well as brother Tyrell Muhammad, dealing with prison reform and hearing their personal testimonies. I'm very excited and humbled that you all will take time out of your busy schedule to come on People's Podcast. Assalamu alaikum, sirs. Yes, sir. So the first thing, the honor is all mine, sir. We want to get started, but before we get started, I would like if Brother Robert can introduce himself, and then Brother Tyrell as well.
Yes, sir. First, to you, brother, and family of viewers, we want to start in the name of Allah, the Beneficent and Merciful, who came in the person of Master Farah Muhammad, and in the name of our Zot the Christ, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and our leader, teacher, guide, and divine reminder, who, if it wasn't for this man, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, all of us who come on these platforms and we became brothers and sisters in the ranks, it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for that great man, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So I want to greet you, Brother Joshua, for inviting me back on your podcast. I want to thank you. I'm very humbled and honored. I want to greet you. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam, sir.
And to your audience, my name is Robert Muhammad, out of Brooklyn, New York. And some of you may have seen me on Brother Joshua's show 2 times before this. And today we're going to talk a little bit about prison reform ministry and the NOI program inside the New York State prisons, and those us who played, some roles in the growth and development of that program. I want to introduce you to a great brother of mine out of Brooklyn, New York, brother who's been putting in a lot of work, legislatively and policy-wise, continuing to fight, for our brothers and sisters that remain behind the wall and in the belly of the beast. So I want to bring on and introduce you to our great brother again, Brother Tyrell Muhammad from Brooklyn, New York.
Assalamu alaikum, family.
Alaikum salam, sir.
I'm just your brother. Brother Tyrell Muhammad from Brooklyn, New York, Muhammad Mas 7C. I always like to describe myself as a dedicated soldier in the prison ministry for Allah. That's where I got my platform, as we say today.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
As we say today, I'm 61 and I have been in prison from 1979 to 2005. I went in at 19. Wow. And at the time I went in, it was a political atmosphere. Prisons is prison, but in New York at that time, family, I was there with black pamphlets, all kinds of socialist mindsets, white revolutionary groups, Latino revolutionary groups, the 5%. And at that particular time, anybody who had an inkling of knowledge of itself, they were in solitary confinement. If you had mentions of the black man, you was in solitary confinement. That was considered contraband. And this is where I met these men at 19, 20, 21, in the box, as they call it. And this is where I got my introduction into all kinds of world affairs and political policies and ideas. And many of these brothers who I met, they were followers of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Many of them. They were utilizing all of the teaching. There was a great friend of mine named Eddie Ellis. He used to use this term all the time. Put the clean glass next to the dirty glass. And the people decide which glass they're going to drink out of. Or be the example of what people will want to be. When he was saying that at that time, I didn't know that was from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And this was a man who was a Black Panther. But they were utilizing all of the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam. And as a young man, it was so much impressionable, but still I was a questionable, curious young person. And at that time, I was really what you call finding out my alpha male in an environment with other alpha males, men against men, different time, different place, different hierarchy, different rules, different levels of respect that's gone today. So, you know, in my sojourn and coming up in prison and then gravitating towards the Nation of Islam, you know, it were men, even the men who came from outside, like brother who unfortunately back to the essence, may Allah be pleased with him, brother Hakim, who was known as brother Nelson. He was coming into prisons in the 70s when I was there. You know, he was coming in places where no one was coming. And he was teaching hard, and he was always whispering in our ear saying that at this time, Farrakhan's building an army. This is 79, 80, 81, 82. Farrakhan's building an army. You know, this is seeds he's dropping. We're not ready for those seeds at that time. You know, I can say I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready until 1995. And I've been in prison since 1979. I wasn't ready. It took the Man March to crystallize everything for me. I was testing the teachings. You know, I was dipping and dabbing. A lot of times, I was a Rasta at this time. I took the religion of Rastafari at that time because they were rebels and they was the most rebellious people in the system. So I was a Rastafari, but studying the teaching of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad because we had the same dietary laws. And Rastas read the Bible. So this is where I was at. So a lot of times in trying to disprove the teaching, I was just moving myself closer to what was true and actual fact. But from a disbeliever standpoint. So my sojourn much different. But when I became sure enough after 1995, I was a Rasta sitting in Muslim service in the Muslim community. They allowed me to stay what they would call on the out count because they had a TV and I could view the viewings of the Man March. And I stood there all day watching that. And I knew halfway through, I said, yeah, this is it. Literally, I'm talking about, it was like the next week, I cut all my dreads, and I had my dreads at that time for like 18 years. I cut my dreads, I went to services, and the brothers ain't know it was me. I said, "Assalamu alaikum," brother. They looked at me and said, "Rasta?" I said, "Yes, sir." They was shocked. We were like, "What's up with this?" It was so dramatic and so forceful and immediate. But they didn't know I was studying all along. I was studying all along. It's just that 95 crystallized and made everything solid for me. There was no more playing games, no more playing around. You know, and at that time we were litigating, trying to get the Nation of Islam approved inside. And that's when I started learning law and doing policy. All this time I had been in prison over 15 years.
Right.
And learning that stuff interests me.
Brother Tyrell, could you, this is very, very deep information. Could you just back up a couple of inches and explain how you mentioned the litigation process that the Nation of Islam went through in New York State Prison? Being that you were there, your experience is empirical. Could you explain to us in the audience, what was that process like?
Oh, it was a long process. I think the total lawsuit took over 20 years. And by the time, what's that?
1975?
99, yeah, around 99, we were in court. We were getting rhythm. You know, okay. 99, 2000, you know, the cases being heard. At that time, a lot of lawsuits were being litigated on religious terms and circumstances. So we had favorable terms as far as what you call ruling law.
Right.
So when we put in our lawsuit, we knew that we were going to be in favor and have an option to win. But at the last moment, they tried to have someone from the Orthodox Sunni community come to be as a witness to testify of the teachings of the Nation of Islam. And that's when we had to object to that. And at that particular time, the judge said we had 72 hours to find a representation from the Nation of Islam to come testify about what is the tenets of the Nation of Islam, what's the dietary laws, and what is our propaganda materials. And we only had Brother Robert Salam number at that time. We called him, and he was able to come in to testify to all of the tenets of the Nation of Islam. And I believe it was at the court, because we was asking for a chaplain also. It was at the court that when the judge said that he made Brother Robert Salam the chaplain. That's how he became the first chaplain of the Nation of Islam inside of the prison. Because we knew that if we left the courtroom without him establishing a chaplain, they'd have put it under the authority of some other groups. And we would have just been fighting all over again. So, you know, that was the outcome of the lawsuit. It took 20 years to get there, but when we got there, we were ready. You know, we were definitely ready. We were prepared. You know, we wasn't taking no losses.
Now, this happened where there had to be legal challenges to bring the teachings back into the New York State prison system, because after 1975, with the departure of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, they removed the Nation of Islam theology out of the New York State prison system. Am I correct?
Yes, they see it as something as it was gang material or domestic terrorists. And
from, let's say from 1976, or even from when you went in 1979, what was it like for followers of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad inside New York State prison systems, being that the teachings was outlawed?
Oh, it was peer persecution. Peer persecution. You couldn't outwardly say that you were a follower of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and not go to the box and be beaten down. And the ones that did, they did it in the face of, really threat. And there wasn't that many. A lot of people believe that when we established, the nation inside and the study groups, there was a lot of people coming. We were in prison, sometimes we'd be in prison with something like 1,500 men, and only maybe 3 to 5 brothers is standing up. And the whole group. So, so the persecution was heavy and people were really afraid. So many of the brothers, when I met them, they were already in solitary confinement. They were still standing up under those conditions.
Right. Okay.
They were, look, in order to have message to the black man, this is really what I call strategic. They used to get Playboy magazine cover to put it over so we could have it. Because if you got caught with that, it was like you had a weapon. Really? I'm talking about you couldn't have 10 pages of message to the black man. Forget anything else. Our Savior has forget all that other stuff. Just message to the black man was our Bible. That's what we held on to. That's what that's what we had.
Wow. Okay. And by 1995, what was it about the Million Man March, or what you heard while viewing the Million Man March, that caused you to gravitate towards the teachings? What specifically?
I'm 61, so I'm 61 years old.
Right.
And there's a saying, my family's from South Carolina, and we used to always hear the story about crabs in a barrel. But I remember my grandfather said there's gonna come a time where crabs are not gonna be in a barrel and they're gonna be pulling each other up. I'm a young boy, 7, 8, 9. And he always said that there was going to time for change, because, he was a Sam Cooke type of guy, change gonna come. And when I seen 1995, I seen no crabs in the barrel. I seen people lifting each other up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It was so amazing that where we were at, we felt not only the spirit of the Million Man March, we were there. We were there. It's just that we couldn't fathom the numbers because all we kept asking people who actually went there and they came inside, was it really that many people there? And everybody confirmed, man, it was more than a million. I'm talking about there were correctional officers, people, family members, because these are reports we were getting back to verify and confirm, man, that what we seen on TV was actual fact. And that was no turning back moment for me. For real. I never thought in my lifetime, I'll see Black men unite. Not in my lifetime, I'm 61.
Right. So now at this point in 1995, when you accepted the teachings, how did that shift your journey throughout your incarceration up until you got out? What was that experience like now, being a follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
You know how when you first become a believer, you're on fire.
Right.
So I was getting kicked out of prisons, like every 4 or 5 months, because I was opening up study groups. Everywhere I was going, I'm opening up a study group. And they don't want that, because if I just get 1 or 2 to adhere to the teachings and change their life on the compound, that's 1 or 2 too many for them. So they would ship me out because they said, we ain't gonna allow this to grow. We ain't gonna allow this to grow. And it was just a feverish pitch because I was just on fire. Like, yo, man, this is the truth. I know this is the truth. There's no more theory. And as we going through it and we following the examples of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the minister, let me show you something. Y'all don't know. All we got was the Betamax tapes. So anytime we seen the FOI, we just seen A class. We ain't know nothing about C class. We don't know nothing about that. So when we get out, guess what? We on A class because we see just the best. So that's our best example. That's how we coming. When we wrote our letters on the inside in our study group, I saved this letter, and we got our letters back. We didn't wait till we got out. We were on the move inside like you could not believe. It was a fight because we were going against all the already established religions and organizations.
Yeah, can you touch on what those relationships were like? Dealing with the Sunni Muslim community, the nations of gods and earth, and some of the other, because one thing we know about prison, there's a lot of tribalism. So
it was that and more, because they didn't want us there. They didn't want us established. They're saying that we practice in shirk, all of these type of things. We're not Muslim. All of these things we were going through. Even when we didn't have Juma, I used to tell the men, we're going to go to Juma. We're going to be the first ones at Juma, and we're going to be the first ones in the columns, in the rows. And then the Sunni Muslim Sutra would come to us and say, brothers, first of all, y'all got to get in the back. And then we would hit them with Islam. No, sir. We would hit them with their own hadith. What the hadith said. We come into Juma in haste, with joy, to be at this moment in this congregation. You're going to deny us this? So we were just hitting back with Islam. We weren't trying to say we Muslims, we better than you. We were just putting the clean glass next to the dirty glass. That's it. But we fought every step of the way. There were physical fights. People died. Really. There were wars in there. There were wars in there between the Black nationalists and the people who they believe killed Malcolm. You remember that war, brother? People died in those fights, in those prisons. And that war lasted a few years. Innocent people died. Many of the people, brothers, don't know that. There was a war on the inside against the brothers who were accused of killing Malcolm. The Black nationalists was, trying to murder them.
Wow.
I was there. I'm part of this stuff.
So can you speak about that a little bit more? Like what was that climate like? You know, with
very volatile.
so you're talking about the brothers who were falsely accused of
Yes.
and there was tension with them and the Black nationalists on the inside.
BLA, even the weathermen, even they have a Latino organization called FLNA.
Right.
And they're always against those brothers. They were trying, there were times where they got the business, but there were times they were trying to kill them. And this went on for a few years until I think around 84, 85. There was a brother from the BLA named Noah Washington. When he came and settled the differences with everybody, different gripes on that issue.
Wow. Okay.
He's a founding member of the Black Liberation Army. And what he settled, he settled all of that, and that's when everything ceased. But if he didn't, step into the fray, it'd probably be going on now, because that's how volatile that thing was. Seriously, that's Malcolm X. Y'all killed Malcolm, and then I'm there when 60 Minutes come to interview them, to find out that they weren't the ones, because brother told the truth who actually got caught. I'm inside the prison during this era with them. So I'm a witness to all of that.
All right. Can you speak about, like, after 95, what impact did the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad coming back into the prison system, and now with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan sitting in his seat, how or what was the impact of that on the prison population, say from 96 up until present day today? What has been that impact?
Many young people, young brothers have been impacted. Many young brothers will stop coming to the study group because many of the young brothers, this is the first time they hear this teaching or be able to hear it in a sober mind. So we get a lot of young people come and they join on, and it really changed their lives. A lot of them be Bloods and Crips. A lot of them be major drug traffickers. But this is the first time they're actually hearing this teaching or hearing something like, you have to have love for your people. You see, they never heard this type of language. And I know they never heard this type of language because when we started propagating that, calling each other beloved, family.
Right.
And we were getting resistance at first.
Right.
But we broke them down. So now this is regular jargon now. How you doing, family? Whether you Crip or Blood, you family. See,
right.
this is because of the minister. He's shown us love. We only can come in love. Even if you're a thug, even you're a hardcore killer, after being taught by the minister, groomed, mentored by those teachings, man, look. That stuff gonna fall off you, and it's gonna come when it's necessary. See?
Great. What on your personal journey, what accomplishments and achievements did you seek out, knowing that now you're a member of the Nation of Islam? What did you seek out to help the nation by the time you were released from prison?
Well, I got all of my education on the inside, all the way up to a master's degree.
What was that like?
I knew I had skills. So that's the first thing I bring to the nation. My organizational skills, my writing. My first few years in the nation, I worked for Mr. Ahmed Shahid at Force One Security. At the particular time, I think he had a payroll of maybe 150. By the time I left in, 2012, we had like a payroll of 600. We were negotiating $2.5 million security deals. But none of this stuff I came to do. I just came to be a soldier. What's available within the nation through your dedication and your humbleness could be the world. So all of these places, the opportunities I got is because of the nation. And once I got there, I gave it my all, and they were able to see that my brother could do more than pick things up and put things down.
Right,
You see,
right.
and it's a blessing because that's where I got all of my training and everything. So when I go into the professional world and the nonprofit world, I changed the culture there. Really,
Okay.
I'm not bragging. I really, world I'm in now, I changed the culture there because I came with commitment, passion, and dedication.
Right. I
They
like
never
that.
had with that. They came
Right.
with agendas.
Yeah.
And I always stood on my square. The hotel.
Yes, sir.
The minister was speaking. I took the whole office downstairs. Then I went on post. After that, we would have had a talk after that. They stayed through the whole thing. All they kept saying, this is the first time I ever heard Farrakhan in its entirety. And you know something, he's telling the truth. Because Harlem ain't Black Harlem no more. These are white people that live in Harlem bearing witness to the teacher. See, if you stand on the foundation for real, I don't care what atmosphere you go with, they're gonna bear witness to who you are because you ain't a hypocrite.
Yes,
Seriously.
sir.
And they're gonna always, they say all the time, I wish I could get some more of your brothers because of the example that we set when we go in the atmosphere.
Right.
So we don't understand the dynamic power that we have through our teachings and our training. But
Yes,
I
sir.
knew
Yes, sir. And what kind of education did you acquire prior to coming on? What level of education?
Other than studying the teachings and acquiring knowledge of self, I have a bachelor's degree from Syracuse University in liberal arts and a minor in what you call Reconstruction history.
Okay.
And I have a master's degree from New York Theological Seminary in professional studies.
Wonderful. All praises due to Allah. And could you speak about, because you mentioned, legislation and policy, could you speak about that work and what organization that you work with in order to make those accomplishments that you did on the legal side relative to our brothers and sisters inside the prison system?
Well, today, I have the honor to work for a nonprofit that's older than the NAACP, the New York Times, and the Urban League. It's a nonprofit that's 177 years old. It's called the Correctional Association of New York. And they're in the Constitution chapter of the New York Constitution to go inside to monitor and investigate abuse and conditions of abuse. They've been doing this almost 200 years. And I'm a part of that organization. I've been there now 10 years. I go inside. Not only do I go inside, but I have an opportunity now to actually write legislation and law to change condition on a systemic level. So I've been, in the past 10 years, I've been a part of, in New York State, some groundbreaking law, juvenile justice bill, getting juveniles out of prison with adults. We have what they call the Domestic Justice Survivor Act, where women who are part of domestic violence relationships go to prison, either protecting themselves or being a co-partner with someone that's an abuser. That now the judge have an opportunity to look at these mitigating circumstances and then make a determination. Before they couldn't look at those circumstances. They had to make a determination based on the law and the sentence. Now this gives the judges opportunity now to actually look at the totality of what's happening here and maybe render some restorative justice to the woman or the man who's a part of the domestic violence issue. Solitary confinement. It took us 9 years to pass this bill, but we passed it on the city and on the state level. And we modeled it behind the Mandela law, They got the United States, UN, United Nations. They have a rule called the Mandela Rule or the Mandela Law. And it's an international law that governs prisons and prisoners of war. One of the statutes says that anyone held in solitary confinement for over 15 days, that's considered torture. People in New York State are in solitary confinement 10, 20, 30 years. He's a UN rapporteur. His name is Juan Mendez. We asked him to come in to monitor and investigate with us. And the New York State Department of Corrections denied him because we wanted international documentation that torture is being done in New York. But we got the law passed. And now I'm in a position now to see how it's implemented. Usually when we get a law passed, we think that the law is already done. You know, we sign it and it's going to act on its own. No, it doesn't work that way. Now you have to sit back now and you have to have people now that's going to go in and investigate and see how it's being carved out, how it's being implemented. Because it got to be implemented in the true nature and intent of the law. And if you allow people who've been violating this law to try to implement it, then you're a fool. So I'm in a position to go inside now to actually carve it out, to create and make it what we envision. That's very unique. Usually, that doesn't happen. Usually you just be on the other side, signing the bill and clapping your hands and going on your way.
Right. Now, you know what? Tell us, what does that look like as an investigator? Now, you're able to go inside the prisons. What does that look like? Yes, Brother Joshua. Hold up, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your transparency. I just want to make sure I continue to thank people in the comments who are showing you all nothing but love from all over the country and around the world. But I want to do a quick 60-second commercial break for all of the sponsors of the People's Podcast to keep us going. Thank you very much. And then we coming right back to you, sir, for your amazing testimony. And thank you, Brother Robert, for handling these questions in such a way that only you could, because you all have the inside knowledge. And I'm grateful to all of you all. And so many people are showing you, I can't wait to put this on YouTube. For everyone who is watching, please continue to like, share, subscribe to the People's Podcast. If you all make to be a sponsor or donor, please cash out the People's Podcast. My brother Rashad, Street Premier Media Production. He has a 4K camera and a drone. He does television, film, and editing. Please reach out to me if you need anything. My sister Miriam, ABC I Love Me, children's book and coloring book, both of which are available on Amazon. Please go out and get those. My sister Naima, Stay On Point Dance Academy, LLC. She teaches ballet virtually and right here in the studio in Atlanta, Georgia. We love our tiny dancers. Sister Rashida Rafat, 5-year special promotion for book editing, content development, media relations. If you're working on a book, please reach out to Sister Rashida with Rafat Communications. Thank you very much. Conflict mediation, squashing the beef, student minister Robert L. Muhammad out of Austin, Texas. He's doing an amazing job in the community all throughout the Southwest region. Thank you very much, Brother Minister. Sister Fudia Muhammad, his wife, children of the Most High, giving birth to a God in the science of child rearing. Please make sure you all go out and get that book as well. Brother Kenneth, Bowtie Maker Extraordinaire. We're coming right back to our 2 amazing panelists. Sister Sherry Muhammad, AsiaticMinds.com. Asiatic Minds Online School. Please sign up at AsiaticMinds.com, teaching young kings and queens virtually. She does an excellent job. Dr. Henry M. Carter, King Henry's Turkey Legs, right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Brother Rashad Muhammad, COVID-19 Disinfecting Cleaning Services out of Chicago. My father's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ, and his new book, Down Is Not Out, both of which are available on AbdulSharif.com. And last but not least, my 2 books, Cleopatra, which is a children's book, and No Father, No Excuse. Thank you all very much for every like, share, subscription, and donation and sponsor. Thank you very much. Right back to you, sir. Okay, boom.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yeah, so Brother Tyrell, in fact, I wanna just add something to that question. If you will, give us a mental picture of what solitary confinement is like in New York State prisons, and then talk about what you do as an investigator. What does that look like when you go inside and you have to deal with the very administrations that you dealt with when you were a resident in some of these places? Because I'm not going to call you the other name. Just when you was a
sir.
temporary resident.
This is the analogy I always try to give audience. I say, lock yourself in the bathroom of your home. Lock yourself there from Friday to Monday. You won't last because you have the option to leave, but you won't last. And I say this, when a snowstorm hits and we have to stay inside 3 to 4 or 5 days, we get what they call cabin fever. Even if you just want to open up your window and stick your head out, that's none of that in solitary confinement. There's no relief from that type of torture. And because it's constant and continuing and perpetuating, what happens is you start to hallucinate. If you don't have a reading material, if you can't read, you know, if you have mental health issues, you're gonna definitely what you call debilitate. And what happens if the longer you there, the worse it gets. And you know, in my personal journey there, I had to fight to save my sanity. I read everything, literally, you know, like whatever they had to read, I read. I don't care. I read National Geographic from 1930 and 1940, Reader's Digest, because, you know, I just wanted to keep my mind lucid. But the ironic thing, in spite of all of that, in reading those things, I educated myself. Because if you read Reader's Digest, and if you read National Geographic, you're gonna travel. See, I travel. And then you're gonna read what is called the classics in Reader's Digest. You will read the excerpts. And I didn't know they were classics. You know, I'm reading Hemingway, I'm reading Dickens, you know, Mark Twain. I don't know who these people are, but I'm in the box reading about them. So when I do get to college, I'm familiar. See? But I'm doing all of this to stay sane. See, but Allah's with me, even in my ignorance. He said, yeah, you know, I know you're a crazy brother. I know you just out of your mind. But here, you know, I'm gonna put you in an environment. And I'm gonna put the pressure on you that you can take. You see? See, I was able to stand some enormous trials and tests. You understand, you know, like 26 years and 11 months, you think you're never going home. Waking up every day under those conditions. When you wake up in solitary confinement and all you see is the same pea green paint on the wall for 7 years, 10 years, it never changed, it's not chipping. You start hallucinating because the paint chips become figurines in your mind. That's how long you're there. If you don't get no mail, you know, you ain't conversating with people, you know, you just self-destruct. So when I'm there and I'm meeting the 5%ers, the gods, brothers who got a message to the black man, it's like a breath of fresh air now. Because I can talk to people, I'm getting edified, you know, even if I'm shut up and quiet, I'm listening to intellectual conversations that I might never had the opportunity to listen to, probably only on a college campus. But this was done between men, astute men, alert men, who knew about what we're going through now. They talked about then. So I was always a student. You know, I wish I didn't have to go to prison to be a student to get this type of skill and education, but it's so fit, that's where I had to go.
Right. So the passion that you drew from that experience, we can say that propelled you into the work that you're doing now.
Question.
Right.
No question.
So what is it like when you're going back now? Tell us what that's like.
I gotta prepare myself, for one.
Right.
I gotta prepare myself. So I'm going back into an environment I lived in. Most of the prisons I'm going to, I know the prisons with my eyes closed. So when I go to these prisons, right, See, like if you've never been to those prisons, they can tell you you're going to D block and they're taking you to honor block. And they're bringing people in front of you that they want to talk to you. So, but when I go, they can't do that. Because I know their system better than them.
Right.
As soon as they bring somebody in front of me, first thing I ask, how long you been in here? Well, how you became a representation of a population and you just got here. You don't need to talk to me, fam. You're talking to somebody who's been in your same seat. See, because I know how you get into that seat. It's a hierarchy. Nobody becomes what you call representation of the population in the leadership position by default. That's earned. I mean, you got the respect of the population, 1,500 men. And that's not easy to get. You got Latino supporting you. So, when I go in and I see this dynamics, I know what to look for. I'm able to see what other people are not going to see. Like a lot of racism in prison is in plain view. Straight up, plain view. They got this symbol called the Punisher. The Punisher is a white racist symbol that all of the correctional officers put on their lunchbox and their water bottles. The Attica is that Punisher symbol and the Buffalo Bills. Now, if I take you there, you would think that they just like the Buffalo Bills. They got a great sports team because you see the Buffalo Bills everywhere in the prison.
Right.
And I got to tell people, no, that's not what that is. That's a symbol of white supremacy. And if the Buffalo Bills lose, Black people in here gonna suffer.
I never knew that.
Because of sport and play.
Right.
Yeah. See, these are the things I'm able to bring and see when I go inside. And you got to remember, I'm going inside where people don't have my eyes.
Right.
See?
Right.
So they really have to rely on my eyes. I'm going in an environment that a lot of people can't relate to or talk to the men in there. This is second nature to me. So when I go in there, they're opening up to me.
Right.
See, they don't mind talking to me because we same. It's just that when they see me, it's shocking to them, but also an inspiration because they remember me. Yeah, man, you was wild in here. You was in solitary confinement. You was always in the box. You was always fighting. You do this now?
Right.
See, yeah, I always tell them it's a different day. Everything's available to us today. Our teachers taught us a long time ago, there's no such thing as impossible. So I move off of that. I really do. I might be naive, but I'm 61 and I can't be that naive because it's been a success for me.
Right. What is it like also? I've seen you in the media, in newspapers, on the news channels and some of the other mediums of information. And I noticed that you wear the name Muhammad. You have a bow tie on. You have your national on. So with the Department of Corrections and even the people that you work with, how does who you are as an FOI, how does that translate in your relationship with them, knowing that you follow the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan?
It's very cordial and respectable because I never hid who I am. See, that's the key. I came as Muhammad. I ain't come as a nigga that became Muhammad. I came as Muhammad. And I represented that for the 10 years I've been there. So that's all they know is Muhammad. They could never send a report that, this is some other type of Muhammad. No, this is the Muhammad we want. If you can duplicate him, please do so. See? No, sir. See, as long as you come and you stand on your square, you stand on that, what you know that's right and exact, people is going to bear witness to that. They might not like it. They might resist it, but they're going to respect it.
Right. What is the experience like? Because I remember one time I saw you in the state legislature in Albany, New York. What is that experience like, dealing with the political leadership of the state? Because these are some powerful, smart or intelligent people. So what is it like, engaging with that power base?
You know, I always deal with them as people. I don't see them as importance. A lot of times, you don't see me doing photo ops with them. See, I deal with them on the terms of my people. See, I'm there trying to get bills passed that'll stop the suffering of my people inside. And they know when I come, I'm coming on that alone. I've developed relationships and friendships with them because of that commitment throughout the years, on both leadership and with the governor's office. I have access to the governor's office, and when I do an investigation and I find something real egregious, I can bypass the commission and bring it straight to the governor's office. I've sat, they call it the second floor. I've sat on the second floor many a times because I'm a credible messenger. I've never lied to those people. I never fabricate or overhype something. I always, when I write a report, I always lay out the facts as it is. Make everybody make their own determination. You see?
Praises be to Allah. All right. So I'm going to pass the baton to Brother Joshua, and I'm sure you have some questions and some statements.
Yes, sir. Well, I just want to thank you. I want to thank you both. Y'all doing a great job, and I'm learning a lot.
Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir. I just want to read some of the comments. Saying people saying Allah Akbar. Thank you, my sister Robin is saying Allah Akbar. My sister Miriam, thank you for your dedication and advocacy. My sister Naima, all praise to Allah. Brother Alichi Taylor says, "Assalamu alaikum family." Sister Robin, long live the spirit of May March. People going back to the May March and those great testimonies. What I wanted to ask you, sir, is now that you are free from behind bars and things like that, how has your personal life been? Like, do you get married? Do you have children? How's that been going?
Yes, I'm married. I have a 7-year-old daughter. That's like my world. I thank Allah that, I have my mother still alive. I'm blessed. Allah has blessed me immensely, family. Truthfully, and family is the most important thing for me. When I came home, if my family wasn't here, my journey would be a little rougher, because my family had housing. I was able to have a stable environment to operate from. So, it wasn't for my family, things would have been really rough. But it was rough, always hearing the word no when I would go for a job or go for an interview. I would hear things like, you don't have experience or your criminal background, and when they would say these things, not knowing that was going to be fuel for me to change these laws later, you see? So, I kept hearing these things, and when I kept hearing these things, it didn't deter me. It just made me more determined. And Brother Ahmed Shahid, I thank Allah for that man. He took me on. Now let me show you how funny this is. Our brother was a correctional captain on Rikers Island, and I'm formerly incarcerated. And he was like, "Well, you talking about a big brother, little brother relationship? Oh, brother." And it worked. It worked because I cared about the people and he was focusing on the business. And he taught me business. He allowed me the first time I ever negotiated a contract, man, he just looked at me and kicked me in the leg under the table. And I started talking. We walked out of there with $80,000. I said, wow, but it wasn't for brother, just giving me the opportunity. Every time he would have a security site, he would always put a computer there. He was always saying, I want you to email me or fax me the timesheet, teaching me 21st century technology that I didn't have when I got out. So brother really prepared me. He mentored me, he guided me. He gave me that courage I needed when I'm coming home and I'm unsure of myself. This was my brother, my anchor, and I'm deeply in debt to that brother. Seriously, anything that I do today, and I tell people, I said, you're looking at Ahmed Shahid. Seriously, because I soaked up everything that he gave. Seriously, I soaked it up. Brother put me in a position, brother, to train, hire, hundreds of people. Negotiate contracts in millions of dollars. Come on, man, people ain't gonna just trust you to do stuff like that if they don't believe in you and trust in you? I'm doing things I don't have the faith at that time, but he's seen it. See? So now when I'm in this world, in the nonprofit world, doing this type of work, I got all the confidence in the world. You know how hard it is to work for a black man? Oh man, it's easy to work for the white man, brother. Hey, listen, it's not a problem. It's not a problem, seriously. Long as you come and stand on integrity. But if you know that you shift, but you chasing the bag, then you just folly for him. See, you folly for him. I ain't folly for nobody. I was a fool for going to prison. I ain't gonna be a fool never again in my life. Not as long as I stick to these teachings and I stay close to our base. I've been home 16 years by the grace of Allah, family. Seriously. You know, I've never had a violation, you know, none of those things. You know, I tell brothers, I said, brothers, I was going on details state to state when the minister moved on parole. Seriously, I was on parole 11 years. Brothers say no, but I'm in Chicago, I'm in Detroit, I'm in Baltimore. Come on now. I'm wherever the minister was going at that time, I'm there. Ain't nothing gonna deter me. And Allah was with me and blessed me all that time because I was doing duty and I never got busted, never got caught, you know, because I was doing duty and committed to that.
Yes, sir. Okay, great. Okay, my next question for you, sir, is I want some clarity. So I wear snapbacks. I'm a big sports fan, and I love throwback snaps. Like I right now have a Houston Oilers hat. You know,
Houston Oilers.
Yes, sir. And now you made reference to the Buffalo Bills. Now, so is that like a racist thing? What you're saying? Like, don't wear Bills hats? Like, what's going on with that? Let's get some clarity on that.
Well, if you in upstate New York, in those areas, rural areas, it's white, predominantly white. And where the prisons are at is in those areas, rural white areas. The only time they see black people is on TV or in a prison. That's the only time. So their team is the Buffalo Bills. so if the Bills lose, you know, we're gonna suffer. You know, some people don't see the analogy, but I tell people, look, in upstate New York, it's just rural. It's a beautiful place to go and see, but you know, you got to get out of there by sundown. Seriously.
I didn't know that.
I travel those roads today. I travel those roads today, brother. Going up and down them highways and byways to those prisons, because that's where they're at. You know, I've been, they try, you know, I remember going up near Canada, and these really where white people at. And I remember when I used to get out the car, they used to stop their car, traffic stop, everybody turn around and look at me because, again, the only time they see black people is in prison on TV. And I got upset with that one day, and I got out the car and I told them, I said, I'm gonna come up here so much that the next time y'all see me, y'all gonna say, how long you staying up here, Muhammad? And I wore their ass out. Use my language. When I go up there, that's exactly what they say. What college you gonna speak at, Muhammad? How long you gonna be in town? See, nah, man. And they, brother, let me tell you something. See, they put those prisons way up there because they bank on us not going into their community. They bank on that. And I sat in prison and understood that, and I seen that. I said, man, they torture us and do this stuff to us, knowing that we go to New York City, we ain't looking up here no more. I said, no, I ain't gonna be that type of person. See, because when I lived the negative life, I went where you was at. So I still got a little of that in me. You know, I'm telling the truth, I still got a little of that in me, but I got it in me in a way whereas I know who my enemy is, and I have training now and strategy. See, I don't have to go up against a brick wall. I know maneuvers today.
Praise be to Allah. Okay, yes, sir. All right, now for you, Brother Robert, now earlier,
yes, sir.
Brother Tyrell spoke about the Malcolm X conflict behind the bars and things of that nature with the brothers who were falsely accused. Did you have any encounters with that when you were behind bars?
No, sir. By the time I arrived at that juncture, all of those events had already taken place. So I didn't experience that particularly. However, I will point out that for the period of time that I was inside, I experienced in different facilities, there was a lot of resistance to the NOI program, especially from the so-called Orthodox community. There was a lot of resentments. There was a lot of negative talk that was put forth towards those of us who follow the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And like brother pointed out, there were times when it got physical in certain areas, in certain places, because some people step out of line. And what you find among the brothers inside is that many of them really love the teachings that we follow. Yes, many of them really love it and they respect it. But there's a certain element, I believe, that's planted there to continue the I'll just call it the separation or the division, of the communities. And there were times when I developed some pretty good relationships with many of the brothers on the other side, on the Orthodox side. And they would share with me many times that they didn't really appreciate the divisive talk that they would hear about the followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, in many instances, and a lot of it came from the administration. We know that our open enemy, they play the divide and conquer game, all the time. So of course, if you can keep the believing communities divided, then it gives them more control over what they do, from the administrative and the security side of things, So I experienced that, and made a lot of observations, where that is concerned. Another thing, it's not really a digression, but it's something that I want to speak into about incarceration. And Brother Tyrell, you maybe can help me out as well with this. Now, people, I'll say civilians, right? They have a skewed view of prison culture when it comes to if you want to call it rape, or if you want to call it men having sex with men. And I've even heard representatives in the Nation of Islam from the podium misrepresent what the facts are. See, by implying that men who are incarcerated have relations with other men. So what I would like to do is just take a moment and clear that up. And I would clear that up by saying, Brother Tyrell and I can speak from the New York State experience. That doesn't happen in terms of brothers just getting raped. It doesn't happen like that. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen like that. And the majority of men that are incarcerated don't indulge in relations with other men either. See, because it becomes offensive to brothers and even sisters too who came through that experience, because it's almost an implication that the majority of us that may have went through that experience have went through that particular type of experience on the inside. Absolutely no, sir. Absolutely no, sir.
What usually happens is this is what happens, family. We get painted with a broad brush, that brush. Now, but that comes from conditioning. I'm quite sure everybody remembers seeing some type of movie or something about prison, and they always depicted homosexual behavior in the worst of it. And if you remember, they had on HBO, they had a program called Oz.
Oz, yes.
And they used to show the worst depiction of behavior in prison.
Mhm.
And I remember my sister seeing it one time, and we were on the phone, and she's telling me, "Oh, there's this program called Oz, and it's just like prison. Oh, I know what it is to be, like this is, this is how it's going." So
Right.
I'm not there to see the program. I'm in a maximum security prison. We ain't got Oz. You see, we ain't got cable. I don't get to see Oz until I get to a media. And I seen Oz. The episode I seen was, it was a brother who was named Shahid. He was the imam. He had an opportunity to go home. And he refused to go home. He said, "I'll stay here with the brothers." So as soon as I got an opportunity to call my sister, I said, "You're crazy as hell." I said, "I live this experience every day. And if they ask anybody in here, even if they crazy, if they want to go home, they running out the door. Ain't nobody gonna voluntarily stay here for nobody."
That's right.
That's the program you watching, that's entertainment, and they're taking the worst of prison and glorifying it. But because it's done over and over, and many people see it, it becomes conditioned. You can just tell people, close your mind, close your eyes, and then say these words: convict, prisoner, ex-con, felon. And pictures will come to their mind. Because of years of conditioning of when you hear that word, they show a picture. When they show a person that's a convict, they show a rough, uncivilized looking person, a picture.
Mhm.
So this conditioning has really done a damage to us, and we just got to learn to recondition, but we have to be the examples and the messengers. You see, we live this experience. Look, if you lived a homosexual lifestyle, you was ostracized in New York State prison. Okay?
And to add to that, the community is small, right? So if you indulge in that alone,
We're
no
gonna know.
matter where you go, it follows you. And not just amongst the prisoner population, but even administratively.
Yes.
People know who you are. And even with I'm going to call it a crime of rape, of course. It doesn't happen because if you try something like that, you will lose your life quick.
So there'll be other people that will come to that person's aid.
That's right.
Seriously.
And even the young brothers, they're organized to the point where they protect each other. So even if there's an individual who may be a predator of that sort, he wouldn't even try, because though I'm gonna keep it 100, those young brothers will kill him. You know what I mean? They're organized. They, may call themselves Blood, Crip, or whatever, but they're highly organized. They protect each other and they get busy.
They play for keeps.
So that's right. So if a person is living like that, you won't last. And those who may have it in their mind, because of the way the atmosphere is where that's concerned, they stay somewhere else with it. And if that's a lifestyle that a person desires to indulge in, there's enough of that lifestyle in there where you can go in the corner somewhere with that group. Nobody bothers them. Everybody mind their business, and they just do it that way. That's it. But that's how it works. But nobody is taking another person's manhood and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't happen that way at all. It doesn't happen that way. Right. So we just wanted to clear the deck with that,
Well,
Yeah.
I'm glad that's been your reality, and that you all cleared that up, because that's definitely what people think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I've had people ask me that. That's right. Yeah. And then sometimes it's amusing, but it can be offensive. Yes. And especially when you will follow with Honorable Elijah Muhammad, it's definitely offensive. Yes. Right.
Okay, great. Well, I want to thank you both for coming on. We've done an hour real quick. It went by fast, but I want to also make sure that if you all could, let's do this again. We got to do it again, but Rob, we got to do it again, Brother. We got to do it again.
I'm at your disposal and available anytime you call me, Brother Joshua and Brother Robert. Y'all know that.
Yes, sir.
I'm never too busy for the FOI, brother.
But Brother Joshua, before we end, I would be out of line if I just don't shout a few people out, because as Brother Tyrell spoke about the Nation of Islam Prison Reform Ministry Program, it wouldn't have been possible without the work and the sacrifice of so many brothers who couldn't be on the program.
Yes, sir.
So I wanna shout out Brother Shaheed Muhammad, who was one of the original plaintiffs on the lawsuit that brother mentioned. I want to shout out to Brother Bishmi, brother who put in a lot of work, throughout the system, and he's home now, doing some good work. Brother Wali, I want to shout him out. Yes, sir, Brother Joshua.
Yeah, Bismi who's the drill?
No, I'm talking about his father.
Oh, his father. Okay.
His father.
Yeah,
his father.
I know. Okay.
Yes, sir. I'm talking about
his father.
That's right. Small
Yes,
world. See that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
His father. Yeah. I want to shout out Brother Wali, Brother Eric, Brother Samuel, and Brother Salam.
Brother Salam
was the first chaplain who came in, who was a brother who himself had went through the experience of being incarcerated. Our great brother Hakeem, or Brother Nelson, who, as brother said, was coming aside for so many years. And definitely have to shout out my brother, my comrade, Brother John Muhammad. I don't know, he couldn't make it on tonight, but brother also put in a lot of work behind that wall to establish the teachers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in many of those facilities. But again, I couldn't come off this program without mentioning those brothers. And there were more, we just don't have time to mention. Also, Brother Student Minister Henry, who continues to be a chaplain inside the New York State prisons, going inside, bringing the teachers in, and raising up a lot of brothers who come home and who are now in the mosque. But one quick question for Brother Tyrell. What advice, Brother Tyrell, would you give to a brother or sister who's returning home to their community from prison? What advice would you give that individual?
First thing I would say is this: ingrain yourself in our culture. Like when you first come home, you don't have a job. So you can go to the mosque, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. I did that until I got work. But when you ain't got work, go to the mosque and stick to the mosque as much as possible to learn our way. So that when you go out into the world, you know how to present yourself to the world. See, because we've been away, so we have to learn our way now. And that's what I did. I was in the mosque Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. And as I progressed and moved forward through my journey and got employment and stuff, I would just be there maybe on Wednesdays, definitely Mondays, definitely Sundays. But in the beginning, commit yourself. Really ground yourself. This way, no one gonna knock you off your square when you start venturing out. You see? So that's the best advice I can give you, because, this is all we have. This is our protective armor. And if we don't know how to put on this armor, we're gonna get killed out there.
Yes, sir. All praises due to Allah. Yes, sir. All right.
Great. Well, I thank you all very much. I thank everyone who's in the comments. Shout out to Sister Robin for being with us tonight. My sisters, everyone who joined, Brother Taylor, Brother Joseph, everybody who's commenting. I can't wait to put this on YouTube. Please continue to like, share, subscribe to the People's Podcast. This has been very full of inspiration as well as information, and I hope that everybody who's viewing this unpacks this. Look forward to a part 2. And anytime, Brother Robert and Brother Tyrell, anytime you all come up with any thing that we can do to help bring awareness and give positivity to community, I'm with it. So thank you all for coming on. Thank you all for watching. This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off for the People's Podcast. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam, soldier.
Wa alaikum salam, family. Take care. Be safe.